Hi there, this is Donna Bordeaux with Campground Accounting, and you are listening to Campground Compass, the show dedicated to campground owners in an entrepreneurial mindset who seek to grow and expand in the wild and wonderful world of business.
What's going on? Welcome to Campground Compass. I'm your co-host, Zach Bordeaux, joined by my co-host and awesome and amazing mother, Donna Bordeaux. And welcome back to Campground Compass. In this important episode, we'll be touching on a subject that is not very confusing, but seems to be overcomplicated, and a lot of people are confused about it. So we figured we'd make an episode on it, and that topic is EIDL loans. So let's get right into it. Obviously, this is not going to be as much of a subject that I'm going to talk about, but my mom is very knowledgeable in EIDL loans. If you haven't checked out our videos, you can check those out at Campground Accounting YouTube channel, at Campground Accounting on YouTube. So you can find more information there if you're looking for additional information that's not in the podcast episode. But we're going to touch on as much as possible in the next few minutes. And let's get right into it. So first, we want to just touch on what are the original terms of the EIDL loan. Let's just discuss that for a few minutes and figure out, what's changed.
Got it. Okay, so just going back to the basics, EIDL loan is Economic Impact Disaster Loan Program. And this was during COVID to help businesses to not go under during COVID and to give them some extra funding. Originally, it was maximum $150,000, and then they expanded it on up to $1 million. So the payment structure when you got these loans is the payments were deferred. You actually had 30 months before you had to start making payments based on the original disbursement date. So for most everybody, the payments are due now. Unless you were really late in the game and those were hard to do, you're probably making payments or have payments due right now. So also, just to kind of recap, who's nailed to these loans? If we look at collateral and personal guarantees, they have, depending on the amounts, there were different structures. So if your loan was under $25,000, no personal guarantee, and there's no assets collateralizing the loan. So it's basically an unsecured loan. If your loan was between $25,000 and under $200,000, then it's just collateralized by the assets of the business. So that means you're not supposed to be selling any equipment or anything that you own that's an asset of the business without getting permission from the SBA. I'll laugh quietly to myself because I know you can imagine how bureaucratic that process is, and it's not happening to get permission from the SBA on a reasonable time frame. The last category of loan is if you were over $200,000. So that came in round 2. You took more than 200. They realized, hey, we probably should have tied these people to the loan and had a personal guarantee. So over $200,000, you are collateralized by the assets of the business, as well as you have a personal guarantee signed to make sure that repayment happens.
Mm-hmm. So what happens if you can't pay? You don't have enough money to pay, your business went under. What happens if you can't pay?
Yeah, that's $1 million question. And we have been poking the bear trying to get an answer now for a little over 2 years for this question. And we're still seeing little dribbles of effects of what the potential possibilities are. From a pure legal aspect, we already know what it means if you don't have a personal guarantee or don't have collateralized assets. But what do we do? What's the reality of how they're going to deal with that? Those are the real questions. So we have some advice. If you have closed your business, so in a lot of cases, it's not a campground that may have defaulted. There are very few of those because this was a pretty high time for the campgrounds. But a lot of people have side businesses, other businesses, or you may have colleagues with a business that has closed down. So if you have closed, you need to do 2 things. First off, if your business was an LLC or a corporation, meaning it's an entity separate from you personally, you need to shut that business down formally. That means close your bank accounts, all of them, and dissolve the entity properly through the Secretary of State. That's like the death certificate of a business, basically. If that business was in your personal name and you did not have an entity separate, like an LLC or corporation, then you're still personally guaranteeing that loan, because you can't say there's no personal guarantee when you were the person who got the loan.
Yeah, so a lot of people are still very concerned, and they want to know what the SBA kind of has said. And recently, we did a video where we made a call to the SBA. Talk about that for a minute.
Sure. A couple of things have happened recently. I made the calls to the SBA, and I've recorded those so that you can share in that excitement with me. And I also was participating on a call in, like an Ask Me Anything by the South Carolina division of the SBA. And I'll first tell you the South Carolina division of the SBA, and what I think is pretty normal is none of the state or local offices of the SBA have a clue what's going on at the EIDL servicing centers. And that it doesn't appear they have any direction from the SBA as to what the process is. So their primary answer is to call the EIDL service center and keep making payments. You'll find this is a very common thread. Anytime you talk to the SBA or any representative there, they're going to tell you, oh, well, you need to keep making your payments. Well, that's a little difficult to do if you're out of business and you don't have any cash. But they're going to keep saying that. So in looking at what you should also do to protect yourself or to make sure you've put the best foot forward, we always suggest you don't hide from the SBA on this. Be upfront and tell them the business is dissolved. I can't repay it. And so to do that formally, again, you want to send them notification that the business is dissolved. And that's the really key part. I think ultimately they're going to ask for the statement of dissolution from the Secretary of State to prove that. They need that death certificate to prove it. And to notify the SBA, you can either do that via email. That's their highest suggested rate. Or if you got a lot of time on your hands, you can go on the phone and call them. I like to have written documentation rather than talking to someone on the phone. So I prefer that the email goes out. Again, state when your business closed and tell them what the dissolution date was through the bank. Tell them there are no bank accounts or assets for them to collect upon. Once you do that, there is also one new step that we found out in our call to the SBA. They have recently launched a new portal. So throughout the life of EIDLs, if you're tracking how many logins you had one for the application process and the increase. Then you had one through the government payment system and the capital access financial system, CAFS. And now there is yet another. They have taken your login for CAFS and rolled it over to their new platform, which is at lending.sba.gov. Now you'll find this is a little friendlier way to look at things, and it's a little easier to navigate. But when you log in there, under each loan, if you have multiple, you'll see an option. It's a drop down on the right-hand side. And there's an option to send a message. So I suggest you go in to send a message. You'll see an email template come up, and it'll have a drop down for the subject line. That first subject line is for business closure or death of owner. Go in there and notify them through the portal. That way you have tracking that you've done it there, as well as sending an email if you've already done that, because at least this appears in their system and you can confirm it. I'll spoil the surprise. You are going to get a form email back very quickly that says, yes, keep making your payments. Wow, isn't that such a shocker? Also in our call, I asked the question, what happens when someone defaults as a procedure? So you've notified them. What are they going to do about it? And the representative on the phone, besides telling me to keep making payments, told me that they will refer it to the Treasury. All right. They're going to talk about this. It's kind of like the IRS. It make it sound really scary and really bad. But referring to the Treasury means that they could offset any money you're supposed to receive from the government. But when we say you in this case is the business if you're not personal guarantor. So if you're below the $200,000 line and they refer the business to the Treasury, that means they're going to offset money that is due to the business. So like a tax refund, for example. But businesses don't typically get tax refunds, especially if they're closed and not filing anything. So I think that's kind of just a check the box in their procedure. It doesn't really have any meat to it. They're not going to be able to collect anything from you personally unless you're a personal guarantor on the loan.
Mm-hmm. So the big underlying question here is, if you don't pay, are you going to get put behind bars?
Oh, and, yeah, the stripes question.
What's the worst thing that could happen if you just don't pay it? What's the worst that could happen?
All right, we're going to separate it out into two groups of situations here. First, if you were under $200,000, you had an entity, an LLC or a corporation for your business name. If you didn't pay that loan, the only thing they can do is collect from the assets of the business or from offsetting any refunds, and you've already closed your bank accounts, so that's probably not going to happen. So my anticipation, and again, these are my opinions because we don't have anything at all to base this on yet, but I think that loan's going to quietly go away. Now, there have been questions, mostly in the media. I'll hear, well, what if they go back and they say it was fraud, how you used the money, or you don't have a trail of all the use of the money? I got to tell you, from a realistic standpoint, if this loan's less than $200,000, you're small potatoes. They don't have an ounce of energy to come after you. They've got people with $1 million loans, and there are businesses that have even larger loans than that through the SBA who are defaulting. So, and we're talking multi-million dollars. So I don't think you have a whole lot to worry about. I think you should put your head on the pillow and sleep well at night. If you fell in the other category, your loan was under your personal name and not an entity, or you are over $200,000, you got a personal guarantee situation, so you're going to have to work out a payment plan. Somehow you'll have to pay that loan off over time. And again, we haven't seen what they're going to do, but it's not realistic to just say, make the payment. They're going to have to make arrangements. Even the IRS has to make arrangements and installment agreements. So I think the SBA is going to have to do that. But I think that's a slow journey off in front of us, a long way out. And also, I'll mention these offsets to the Treasury that we talked about. Those are also a very slow and tedious process. So if, let's say you didn't have a personal guarantee and they forward it to the Treasury, and they're going to offset your tax refund. My guess, again, opinion, is you probably got 2 or 3 years before that could even hit through all of the systems and become a reality. So that's where we kind of stand today. I don't see anybody in the normal small business situation going to jail unless they've committed fraud.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, anything else you want to talk about on EIDL loans?
I think that's it. I do want to remind people, I am getting emails every day from people who are updating me on what they're hearing. So when I get some information that's solid, I'll record a new video and post it out there. So please subscribe to our channel. And those are under Campground Accounting. Go ahead and subscribe there, and you'll be the first to know if there are any new updates for us to come out. And I'm sure we have a future podcast will come out when we have some significant changes as well.
Yep, I agree with you there. All right. Well, what I will say is go follow us, like you just said, on YouTube at Campground Accounting to get the latest and greatest on EIDL loans, and keep yourself out of jail. If you want to see some high quality short form content out on social media. Go check us out on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all of the above, as well as some clips of the episode on Campground Compass Clips on YouTube. Sometimes we don't post the full length, or sometimes people don't want to watch the full length. They just want to see a little clip or a little segment of here or there. So go check us out at Campground Compass Clips on YouTube. And also those clips go out on our Facebook page at Campground Compass as well. So go check us out there as well. Our full-length podcasts are available on any platform. It's Spotify, Apple, Overcast, Stitcher, Amazon, iHeartRadio. But you want to see a video? Like video people, you can see it. I drew this EIDL loan sign behind me.
I drew that
artwork just for our video people. On YouTube, you can watch the full-length episode as well as the clips, obviously, on our YouTube channel. So go check us out. If you got any suggestions, feel free to email hi@campgroundcompasspodcast.com, and our website is campgroundcompasspodcast.com. Please leave us a review. The only way we can grow this show and expand to new campground owners and find new people is people spreading word of mouth. We could advertise this show as much as we want. We choose not to do that, not to fill your ears with ads. We do no ad rolls throughout the show. That's because we have this thing here called the fee. If we brought you any sort of value, anything like that, feel free to share the show with another campground owner. Post this in a Facebook group. It is truly, truly, truly appreciated. And we will see y'all next time. Hopefully we brought you some value here on EIDL loans, and hopefully we can continue to bring you some value. So share the show, pay the fee.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to Campground Compass. I'm so glad you joined us. Check out the show notes and more of our seasoned advice at campgroundcompasspodcast.com. While you're there, be sure to explore the archives for previous episodes. And if you never want to miss a single audio adventure in 4-season business growth, subscribe to this podcast here and on YouTube. If you like what you're hearing, please consider leaving us a positive review on iTunes. It would be very much appreciated. Friends on social media, check us out on Instagram and Facebook at Campground Compass. Until next time, stay savvy.